Hi, this is Mark Laughlin with RaggedyEdge.net. We spent last winter in Wyoming and endured temperatures down into the -30s on a number of occasions in our Class A motor coach, Newmar Country Star. And learned a lot of things from that. We do not plan to stay over the whole winter again this year in Wyoming, but we are preparing for some cold weather before we depart here, maybe after Thanksgiving or maybe after Christmas. And something I've done is I've switched from our little Honeywell HeatBud heaters to basically a gun-safe dehumidifier. And this particular one is by SnapSafe. It's also by Hornady, and they only draw 7 watts of power, but yet put out about as much heat as, say, about a 40-watt light bulb. So I'm finding that with this, it looks like it's going to stay warm enough so my pipes don't freeze, my greywater tank doesn't freeze either. Now the Honeywell HeatBuds that we were using, little space heaters we were using last year, they draw at the low setting that we were using, I think it was 175 watts. If you put on high setting, they go to 250 watts. So this is a pretty big energy savings for us, which is important because we're only connected with a 15 amp circuit for electric shore power. Now one thing, these come with these little clips that you mount, mounted in this case on a little wooden board, and the clips, when you first get them, they feel like they're not tight, but once you screw them to the board, the heating unit actually clips in pretty firmly. But do test these before you deploy them. I've had I bought 3, and one of them was bad, had to return it and get another unit. These should be basically too hot for you to grab with your bare hand and hold it for longer than 10 seconds. It should be about 115 degrees or so, which is well below the flash point of any of the materials you're going to have inside your basement or your lockers. I've used one of these in our water tank bay, where we've got both a reserve tank and our main water tank. I put one here in our fluids bay, and then also one in the near our battery compartment, which is near the greywater holding tank. One thing to keep in mind is that since these the power cords on these gun-safe heaters, or these gun-safe dehumidifiers, are not really outdoor safe, so be sure and bring your outdoor grade power cord inside the locker and plug them in, and then keep it inside the locker so it's out of the weather. Also, as a backup, I typically run my locker lights. I'll leave those on for a little added heat, and is also in case this fails or the power goes out or we flip a breaker. Now, if you're going to be wintering in potentially very harsh climate, say into the teens or below that like we did, I recommend getting a remote temperature monitoring system with these remote sensors that will keep track of what your temperature is in your basement and your lockers, and then have an alarm based upon, I set my alarm at 37 degrees, so I get notified when it starts getting a little bit too cold in here. And we run the alarm system. We have one alarm system for our back lockers, and I have another one for our main water tank and reserve water tank that's a part of a clock. I'll have links down in the description on the systems that we're using for that, but there's lots of different ones available. Now last year, part of the things where we're learning our lesson, when we got down into 30-degree temperatures, our ABS greywater line suffered a crack. And while come springtime to repair it, the parts to complete the repair were, the cost of them was insignificant, but the effort required was not. It was pretty enormous. I had to pull the genset, create an access panel to get it to the area, or lower drop my fuel tank, and then work in a very confined, cramped space doing the repair. I'm guessing it probably would have cost me, $2,000 for a shop to do what I did, suffered through myself. Now, as you see, I've also used Reflectix, this bubble wrap kind of insulation, and all on these main lockers that I'm trying to protect from freezing pipes. And the 24-inch size of Reflectix seems like a pretty good for working in lockers and fitting it and shaping it and cutting it and taping it in place. We did also get 48-inch versions of Reflectix to put on the front windshield of our Class A motorhome. Keep maybe a couple of these Honeywell HeatBuds on hand, so that if the alarm goes off and you need to generate some a little more robust heat output that'll blow it around a little bit more, you can put these in place and bring the temperature back up, especially if you're somewhere where you're going to be down into the negative. Now, in my opinion, spending $100 to $200 in preparation is well worth it to avoid any freeze damage. You definitely don't want to have to deal with that. That would be horrible. I can tell you from experience, it is horrible. It's Mark Laughlin with RaggedyEdge.net. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Be sure and check the links down in the description.